Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Our guest today is Joel Jackson. So Joel, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Hey Dan, Joel Jackson. I am one of the co-founders of Lifeforce, and I live in Los Angeles. Lifeforce is, think of it as the world's most advanced, accessible longevity clinic.
So tell me more about that. Can you just kind of expand on the clinic, I guess, who you serve exactly, and also even just how you got the idea for it?
Yeah, well, let's expand a little bit. I think the idea of longevity clinic doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. Right. So I'd love to just dig into that idea for a second with you. If you don't mind my asking, how old are you, Dan?
31.
31. Okay. So you got a while, but just throw a number at me. How long you think the average man in the United States lives? What age?
Say it's 70 maybe.
Yeah, that's right. 72. It's 72, right? So you're just a little bit under halfway,
right,
to where you're going to make it on average. Another number, how long do you think the average man in the United States has before they die in a state of what we call unhealthy or diseased?
You're saying how many years somebody have, in terms of I don't know, maybe 60 years? Yes,
that's right. Yeah, it's exactly right. So you live to 72 on average. You get 60 healthy years. You get 12 unhealthy years on average.
Yeah.
You're more than halfway through your healthy years already. You backtrack a little bit more, and there's about 15 years before that. That brings us right back to 45, where we're kind of a little bit compromised by things like lack of energy, hormonal levels starting to go off. Things start to break down around 45. But the other thing is, everyone thinks of this average and they're like, well, I'm not going to be average. I'm probably going to be better than average.
Right.
And no one ever thinks about the counterfactual. What if I'm not as good as average? So, I'm 40. There's a 1 in 10 chance I won't even make it to 55. Right? That's really, if people got honest with themselves at this point in their lives, that would not be a number that they were comfortable with at all. So that's just the state of longevity and how long we live and how long we live healthy in the United States. And Lifeforce is built around the premise of, what if that didn't have to be true? What if we have the technology? What if we have the medical interventions? What if we had everything we need right now, so that, you don't have to say, I'm going to make it to 72 on average. You could say, I'm going to make it to 85 on average. I'm not going to make it to 60 healthy. I'm going to make it to 83 healthy. Right? That's an extra 20 years. And the technology, the medical understanding, the interventions, they're all there. They're just really not being delivered properly by the healthcare system that we have here in the US. So that's where we come in. The way that our program works is, it's a structured program with a doctor and with blood tests. We're going to send someone out to your house. They're going to do a blood draw. We're going to take a look at all your biomarkers. We're going to take a look at how you're feeling, what your goals are, what's going on in your life. We're going to put you with a doctor, and they're going to create a plan. That plan is going to be, what do I need to do in my life with regards to lifestyle? Is it a sleep thing? Is it a diet thing? Are there any supplements I should be thinking about? Are there any drugs that I should be thinking about that the traditional healthcare system is not really going to lead into in a way that they should? And then every 3 months, we're going to check in, put you back with the doctor, adjust this plan. And then optimally, what we're looking for is when we say longevity, it's 1, how long are you live on average? 2, what's your risk of dying early? But then 3, what's your quality of life right now? Can your health support a higher quality of life than you have at the moment? So that's Lifeforce.
It's awesome. So yeah, it's a super fascinating idea, but I guess I'm curious in terms of your story, right? What made you want to start this? Obviously that you're solving a big problem, that's obvious, but something that you personally experienced or saw around you, what kind of inspired you to actually go and start this business?
Yeah. It's funny, if you talk to anyone who works in health or in health entrepreneurialism, it's always because something happened to them in their lives. They're like, holy smokes, I need to go do something about this. So for me, I was about your age, maybe 31, 32. And I went to the doctor and I just had kind of high blood sugar, nothing surprising, but the doctor was like, yo, my guy, you might be getting pre-diabetic here. And my granddad was diabetic. I was aware that was the thing I didn't want. And I'm an obsessive person. I'm just totally obsessed. So on the way home, I stopped at the drugstore and I bought one of those little finger pricky sugar things because I'd seen them before. I've seen my granddad use it. And I was like, I'm going to start measuring what's going on in my body. And I started obsessing over it. I was like, stabbing my finger and measuring my blood sugar. And I was doing this like 20 times a day. I was like bringing it out for dinner with friends. My friends were like, Joel, what is going on? But, I learned a lot. And more importantly, I kind of started to realize there was this group of other people who were doing this too, who were on the internet, who were talking about this stuff, who were being crazy about it. And there wasn't really a mechanism of support for them. It was all just this like self-driven kind of figure it out sort of healthcare. Who knows if the information they were getting was correct or incorrect. And my God, was their doctor not helping them? My doctor thought I was crazy. What are you doing here? And, we kind of realized, hey, there needs to be something for people like me who aren't accepting of the fact that maybe just sliding into type 2 diabetes is like, that's an acceptable outcome, right? That should not be an acceptable outcome.
I agree.
don't know why our healthcare system should accept that. I don't know why my doctor would accept that.
Yep, exactly.
And so then, that was really the genesis. And then we got really lucky. My co-founder and myself, our venture fund that funded us, it has Tony Robbins as a partner in the fund, and he was writing a book. And he said, "Hey, I'm writing this book. Do you guys want to launch a healthcare company alongside this health book I'm writing?" And that was our go-to-market 3 years ago.
Okay, that's awesome. So in terms of right now, right, because you mentioned that part of the business involves somebody, physically coming to the home. Right. So are you only in certain parts of the country or everywhere in the US, other countries? What does that look like currently?
Yeah. So we're nationwide. We will come to your house almost anywhere in the United States. If you live somewhere kind of weird, you can go to a lab, because we maybe can't get to you in like, I don't know, call it like rural South Dakota or something. I don't know. There are definitely some places we can't get to, but we are nationwide. We're an American company. We really plan to stay American. I mean, every country has its own unique healthcare challenges, and trying to figure out a go-to-market for every country's healthcare challenges is a little bit hard. And the United States spends $4 trillion a year on healthcare. So it's not like we're like, oh, geez, there's not enough market in the United States for another healthcare company. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. So in terms of like, obviously, Tony Robbins go to market, that's like super cool to have that kind of backing. But I guess like in terms of now, even like past that, is he still sort of like pushing the company on his social media? Do you guys do ads? It's like, events? Like, how do you kind of spread the word about the brand?
Yeah. Look, Tony is wonderful. He has a group of people who trust him and who will do generally what he recommends they do. And so, I mean, that's always going to be part of our DNA, is that he was part of launching with us. If you want to build a really big business, you kind of need to, at some point, grow beyond that as well. And so we really do find a lot of our customers outside of Tony and his circle at this point. And I'm going to be boring for a second here, is that like, I think the business is really cool, but the go-to-market and distribution and marketing of the business is very, very traditional direct to consumer marketing. We do a lot of ads on Facebook, do a lot of ads on Google. We do some influencers. And so like, if you looked at like, I don't know, any good direct to consumer marketing organization, you would find us doing almost the exact same things in order to market and build awareness and distribution in the business.
That makes sense. And then I guess in terms of like, so essentially when somebody joins, they would arrange for the person to come, they would test the levels, and they're constantly like essentially working with them to help improve, not only like get healthy, but to also stay healthy. So in terms of this membership, like, I'm assuming when somebody subscribes, they're typically like members pretty much forever, right? Because like, why would they not want to monitor and, keep improving their health?
Yeah. I mean, what we see is people are they'll kind of use this on and off. It's $149 a month to work with us. It's not cheap. And people will find, hey, like I'll do 6 months with you. I'll do 9 months with you. Then like, maybe I don't need another test in 3 months, but then they'll come back on. I think one of the most interesting parts of the business for me, when you think about it really as a business more and less about like, what is the outcome we're trying to create in the world, is that the need for the product just increases the more you age. So, people like age into needing Lifeforce more and more and more every year. And we're able to just help people honestly feel a lot better, engage with their life a lot better through better health the older they get. So it is this kind of like thing where if you talk to other subscription businesses, they'll say, oh, our churn rate is whatever. And that churn rate has to do with something around like the number of customers that drop out of that subscription every month. And we track that, absolutely. But I like to think of the relationships we build with customers more as lifelong relationships. Like if you don't go and buy a pair of Nike shorts in the next 12 months, have you churned from Nike? Maybe, but maybe not. There's a pretty good chance you go buy another pair of Nike shorts, right?
Exactly. So I guess like on that note, right? Like obviously people use, lots of different high level technology, right? It's 2025 and
Yep.
a big conversation now is around AI, right? So you guys have this kind of personalized service. You have humans very heavily involved, kind of white glove service. Do you envision AI becoming more of a part of your business, or do you use it currently? I mean, I guess like what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah. Look, AI is going to dramatically and entirely change the world of healthcare. I think healthcare is almost more than anything a place where AI is going to change everything. And just think of it this way. What is the thing that AI is absolutely best at is like taking this human layer, this like interactive human layer, and driving a lot of that via machine. And so I think if you look at people kind of making hypotheses about this, people are like, oh, well, AI is going to replace your doctor. We don't believe that actually. I think that AI, by virtue of reducing the cost of high quality doctoring, is going to create an absolute explosion in demand for high quality care. And so what it really does is it kind of drives down this hurdle rate that people need to overcome to really engage in healthcare, right? Like let's say 5 years ago, I want a concierge doctor. That doctor probably charges $500 an hour. It's just not a very, very appealing option to many folks. But if using AI and a little bit of that doctor's time, we could do the same thing they did for $500 for $70, $50, and we're doing that 4 times a year. How many more people can suddenly engage in really high quality medicine, right? Like this completely changes healthcare, changes the world.
Yeah.
And so that's how we use AI. It's like, how do we take these people that we have who would take a ton of time, takes a ton of time to like write notes afterwards, takes them a ton of time to like catch up on what on earth is going up with this person, their data. How do we take these people and turn them into superhumans with AI?
That's awesome. So obviously now we're still in Q1 of 25. So what are some of your biggest goals and objectives for the rest of this year?
Yeah. So I imagine you kind of like spend a lot of time talking to non-healthcare companies. Fair enough. And in healthcare, I think the thing to think about with healthcare is that, you can build a very large business with one paying out of cash, right? Like Hims is doing $1 billion a year. That's people paying out of pocket with cash. It's a great business. It's a great business. But you could do a much, much bigger business if you can actually tap into these real healthcare dollars, right? Like a $4 trillion a year spent on healthcare, maybe 40, 50 billion of it is spent out of pocket by consumers. Right. The rest all comes from employers, it comes from the government, it comes from all these places. And what that means is that as a consumer, we're just really not used to paying out of pocket for healthcare. Right. As long as we're at out of pocket service, I think there's probably 100, 200,000 people who want to come use us. I think there's a great business to be built. But what we're doing this year is really starting to engage insurance companies on how do we take this thing and deliver value to all of your patients, use that to reduce your healthcare costs because all these people are going to be healthier.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think insurance companies are obviously a good partnership to have, especially, I mean, as you said, I mean, in America, many people don't want to pay out of pocket. Most companies have, most people have insurance through their employers. So it's a very different model than other countries for sure. So, obviously you've been doing this for a few years now. So if you could go back in time to before you got started, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
Yeah. I mean, like I'll just share. I think this applies to everyone who goes to start a company and obsess over your cash conversion cycle. We weren't nearly obsessive enough about it, but this idea of like you spend some dollars on marketing, how long does it take for those dollars to come back into your bank account so you can spend them again? That is the limiting factor on your growth. Is always the limiting factor on your growth. And we've grown really well. We've been a very fast growing company, but looking back, I'd be like, I just often think, oh my God, we could be tremendously huge if we got that sorted out much earlier in our existence.
That's really good advice. And that makes sense. So somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you or wanted to find your business. Do you mind sharing your social media or your business website, best ways to get in contact?
Yeah. Come track us down at mylifeforce.com. That is where you can sign up, buy the service, go do it. If you want to track me down, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. I'm one of the founders of Lifeforce. I love talking about this stuff. I'll talk with anyone about it anytime.
Joel, thanks so much for your time today.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Have a great day.